Okay, so before I get into this video, I want to say that I have been a loyal customer of Sprint for a decade, longer than a decade, I'm sure. For as long as I've known that I've had a cell phone, and I've had a cell phone since I think I was in middle school. And that was back in like the way early 2000s, back in like 2006, maybe before that. And I remember the first phone I had was like maybe like an LG phone. It was blue. It was like kind of like almost brick-like, but like not brick-like, way before the iPhones. But I remember back even like 10 years ago, back in 2009, when like I was 17 because I'm 27 now, and I had like the LG flip phone. Remember the LG flip phone that came in different colors, and I had the one in white, and you would flip it up and it had the keyboard, like the like horizontal keyboard, I think, or it would be horizontal, yeah. The horizontal keyboard, and then you would flip it back closed, and you could flip it back vertically, and you could like type, and type a number. Like that was like the phone back then. And I had it through Sprint. And back then my mom actually worked for Sprint for many years too, so I have familiarity with Sprint. I have, history with Sprint, and, I just wanted to preface this by saying, that, I've been a long time customer with Sprint, so therefore I feel like I have the ability to speak on this, and hopefully give some insight into maybe why the company is run the way it's run, through astrology, and maybe why the customer service isn't as up to par as it should be as well. If this is something you'd be interested in, hit the thumbs up button. If you have Sprint, hit the thumbs up button. If you are a subscriber, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe, like this video, comment, and share. Make sure that you also, if you would like a personal psychic tarot reading from me or an astrology birth chart reading from me, check out my website, LamarrTownsendTarot.com. I would love to read for you. And I am an astrologer as well as a psychic tarot reader. So as you will see in this video, I can read your astrology birth chart or natal chart as well as your tarot cards. And also check out my singles on iTunes, Spotify, and Apple Music, my book on Amazon, and also my social media. All the links are in the description box below. Let's get into the tea right now. Let's read Sprint lightly, not too much, alright? I don't want this video to be hateful or anything like that. This video has no hate in it, just truth, just straight facts. So as I've already prefaced this video by saying, I have been a long time Sprint customer for many years. And, those years have been good, and, there have been some definitely frustrating moments when dealing with Sprint. I will say about Sprint, that, when they are wrong, they can be very accommodating. Sometimes it's just about kind of proving to them that they're wrong. That can be the most frustrating part. Getting them to see that they're wrong is like the most frustrating part. And I don't have any experience with Verizon or T-Mobile or AT&T or the other services out there. Like, I don't even know Cricket, all those types of things. Like, I've only had Sprint for as long as I have been alive. Like, I've just had a Sprint phone. So customer service has always been an issue with Sprint. I'm going to keep it real. I don't know if a Sprint CEO employee is going to end up watching this. I have no idea. Like, there are times when I call Sprint. Now, actually, I was on the phone with Sprint earlier today. What was I on the phone with Sprint about? Because my service, like, I couldn't get any service. Like, my mobile network data was, like, on the fritz for some reason. And it's storming, so I'm thinking maybe it's storming. Like, I have to call, like, 5 or 6 times to finally get an answer. Of course, like, the 5th call is finally, like, the lady's literally like, okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be totally transparent with you. We are currently reconstructing or redoing the towers in your area. So that's probably why you're, having like a service issue right now. Thank you for letting us know. We will alert the people doing the job and, make them, work faster so that you can get the service you need. Thank you. We love you so much. We're Sprint. We love you. We put the customer first. Is there anything else you need? Do you need, a scone? Do you need a pillow? Do you need a phone cover? How else can we assist you other than fixing the problem currently? I mean, that's how it feels like dealing with a Sprint employee sometimes. And it's just like, oh my, like literally at work, because of course I have to call them at work, and that's like a whole deal right there, because you have to work and focus, but you also have to focus on the person on the phone. And like, it takes literally an hour to just get into your account because they ask so many questions, and then you have to like tell them your password or the answer to your like, you know, question on the it's 4th of July on your thingy, and then like they have to like please spell it out, you know, phonetically. Like, I mean, you have to say A for apple, B for brain, C for it's like, oh my, you could save so much time by just talking to a robot. That's how it feels like sometimes when doing the sprint. And I just like, lately I've been, you know, wondering, should I go to AT&T? Should I go to Verizon? I hear amazing things about Verizon, like, but then again, I've never like experienced Verizon myself, other than I think your cable. Like, I have certain like friends and family who have like your cable services, and I'm like, oh, this is cool, you know, bloop bloop bloop. But other than that, like, I only have experience with Sprint. And so I'm thinking, I'm like, you know what, like Sprint customer service, and then they'll like, I don't know if they lie to you or they just don't know certain information. Like, recently I got a second phone line because, you know, I have this YouTube business, I have this astrology, you know, psychic tarot business. So I'm like, I need a phone, a business for my phone, a phone for my business, and a phone for my personal life. And, you know, at the timing of getting the phone, I thought me and the, you know, employees behind the desk were on the same page. Okay, my plan's not going to change. It's going to stay the same. Okay, so, like, you know, there's this prorate thing where you, when you update your plan or get a new phone or upgrade your, like, phone, there's this, like, prorate charge, you know, that they charge you, like, that lasted for me 2 months, and I'm like calling Sprint, like, why is my phone bill like $300 when it used to be $100? Like, this is crazy. This is ridiculous. Of course, it takes me 2 days to finally figure out the answer to my question. But it's just like, Sprint can sometimes be such a headache to deal with, man. Am I the only one out there? Hit the like button, hit the comment section if Sprint gets on your nerves sometimes. Let's keep it real. But listen, I'm a psychic tarot reader, I'm an astrologer, so I'm like, why is Sprint customer service and sometimes business practices? Sorry, Sprint, gotta keep it real, not a hate video, just an honest review. Sometimes on the iffy side. And of course, you know, I'm the astrologer, I'm a psychic tarot reader, so I do a little digging. I do a Google research, bloop, 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 and I figure out when was the founding date of Sprint. Now, I was hoping that the month, day, and year would show up, but of course, Sprint was founded in 1899, so it's difficult to kind of accurately assess the month and the day that it was, like, founded. However, being the professional psychic tarot reader and astrologer that I am, the year is all that I need, honey. And just from the year, I found out a lot about Sprint and why they're run today the way they are, as opposed to maybe the way they were run when they first were founded. By the way, when they were first founded, they weren't even named Sprint. They were named, let me look it up real quick for you guys. They were named Brown Telephone Company. And Brown Telephone Company, which is the root foundation of Sprint today as we know it, was founded in 1899. So I did a little astrological transit back to 1899, and, you know, I looked at some key astrological points. There are some key astrological planets that don't really change much in a year's time, and those planets tend to be Neptune, Pluto, Saturn, and what's the other one? Uranus. That's the other one. Those planets tend to stay in the zodiac sign for many years, up to a decade at a time. So I figured if I can go back to just the year of 1899 when Sprint was founded, which is its astrological birth chart year, alright, I can figure out why Sprint's run today the way it is, and maybe compare that to the way it was like founded back then, you know, how things were back then, and get some answers. I want to know, why is Sprint customer service so frustrating, so unorganized, and so annoying? And why is Sprint, the company itself, seemingly always getting so much hate, you know, always the underdog, never taken seriously? I think I found the answers. Join me on the ride, and let's jump into the tea. Get your grab your snacks and your drinks, you guys. It's tea time. So I have two sources for Sprint's birth chart analysis, and I looked up Pluto, all right, the planet Pluto in 1899, and I found a Pluto retrograde chart in 1899 from the website horoscopes.astro/seek.com. And Pluto retrograde astrology calendar 1899. I guess look that up on the website and it'll pop up. But remember, I was saying Pluto, Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune are all planets that don't change very much. So if I can pinpoint those planets and what zodiac signs those planets are placed in, I can tell a lot about Sprint. So let's just jump right into what Pluto and all those planets rule. Pluto rules evolution. It rules our reactions to crisis and change, aka customer service. Pluto also rules our expressions, of our sex and sexuality. We don't need to know that, but just so you know, right? Pluto also rules, spirituality and your spiritual growth, all right? It rules the subconscious, what lies hidden beneath the subconscious. What are some things Sprint's trying to hide, all right? Next, let's get into Neptune. Neptune rules the planet or the zodiac sign Pisces, but Neptune rules our private affairs, our secrets. It also rules our strengths and weaknesses. All right. Neptune also rules our spirituality, our connection to the spirit world. It rules arts, creativity. This can relate to marketing and things like that. Neptune, which by the way is a whole separate video in itself. Because now they have this robot thing, Sprint, which I don't know. I guess it's cool, but it's just like. Sometimes Sprint, it's just it doesn't connect to I sometimes with your marketing. And listen, I have a degree in marketing. I have a degree specifically in creative advertising from VCU, a bachelor's of science, all right, in marketing and advertising, mass communications, majoring in creative advertising. So I do come up with, create, execute, design advertisements. Okay, that's why my YouTube channel has become as big as it has, but that's a whole separate video. That's Neptune. All right, let's move on. Saturn rules our career, professional destiny, our status in society. It rules also the relationship to the father, which in this case would be the founding father of the company itself. So we'll have to look at his values and stuff like that, or hers. And what else does Saturn rule? Saturn rules also time, orderliness. It also rules it rules time, it rules karma, all right, as well, and some other things. But those are the most important things, all right? Saturn, we did Neptune, we did Saturn, we did Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, and Pluto. We did Neptune, we did Saturn, we did Pluto, Uranus. Uranus is friends, it's acquaintances, it's how we work in groups. This is how Sprint works in the sphere of wireless communications. This is how Sprint, competes with AT&T, or is that even a thing anymore? Verizon, T-Mobile, things like that. How it operates in that sphere. Uranus also rules how we work in groups, how we function in groups, our true sense of identity and purpose in the world, all right, at large. All right, in this case, it would be the world at large, but also the tech company, the tech world at large, because we have to analyze it as well. And those are the main points for the planets. Now, let's get into the possible placements of these planets for Sprint. Because remember, businesses do have their own birth charts or astrology charts. I do birth chart or astrology natal chart readings for businesses. So if you do know the founding date of your business, contact me for a reading so I can, read your business and give your business an accurate analysis so that you can also help your business grow and evolve and kind of get some insight into that. All right, so I did a Pluto retrograde for 1899, and some other placements actually came up as well. But most importantly, Pluto is apparently in retrograde and went direct throughout the year in Gemini for the year 1899. So Pluto is in Gemini. Sprint's Pluto is in Gemini. Interesting. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury rules communication, intellect, the mind. Doesn't that answer so many questions? That's Sprint right there. Communications, intellect, the mind. Um, Gemini, aka Mercury, also rules our young childhood to young adult years. So is it possible that Sprint's already kind of gone through its prime? From its infancy to its, like, young, still fresh, still vibrant, young adult, like, almost like it's in college years. Like, if I would have to say, I would say Sprint's, like, and it's like if we were speaking of it in terms of a person, Sprint would probably be, and it's like, realistically, it would be in its, like, hundreds, 200s, but I would say Sprint would be in its, like, 40s or 50s. So how, as a 40 or 50-year-old, in the social media, internet age, do you revamp yourself and fit in with this new millennium? That's a different topic. But okay, so Sprint's, Pluto's in Gemini. We've established. Okay, that's all I need to know. Sprint's Neptune, which is another planet that doesn't change very much, is in Gemini as well. Neptune is our private affairs, our secrets, our spirituality, our connection to the spirit world, our creativity, our art, artistic side. So, okay, Sprint does have a lasting value when it comes to staying relevant, because it can always come up with a new idea to market itself. And we've seen that time and time again. Like, wasn't there like a Sprint dog back in the day? There was a Sprint dog. Now we have a Sprint robot. Like, I feel like a lot of, Sprint, endorsements have, been seen throughout the years. So, okay, you're good at revamping yourself. That's a good plus to have. Sprint's Uranus is in Sagittarius. Uranus is, once again, how we work in groups, how we function in groups, how we function in the world, our friends and acquaintances. So Sprint has, definitely, with its Uranus being in Sagittarius, made a few enemies in the wireless company workspace. Sprint can sometimes make some exaggerated claims about itself with its Uranus and Sagittarius, and about other, competitors. Alright, Sagittarius can be very exaggerated sometimes in its storytelling. It is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter rules expansion. Alright, it rules evolution, but it rules evolution in more of a philosophical sense. It rules philosophy. It rules also our belief systems and ideologies. It also rules our ability to be open-minded to other people and their belief systems and ideologies. Jupiter also rules luck. It also rules the taboo. Jupiter also rules knowledge, higher education. So there is something very snobby about Sprint a little bit, even though it can have elements of being a little bit trashed, okay? But that's a whole different topic. No shade, no tea. We love Sprint. We really, really, really do. But sometimes, for example, that customer service Sprint cannot be the best. All right, so your Saturn is in Sagittarius as well. All right, because Saturn went transited direct and retrograde throughout the year in Sagittarius in 1899, the year that you were founded. Formerly known, once again, let's clarify that, as Brown Telephone Company. Look it up. All right. With your Saturn being in Sagittarius, you are someone who, once again, is always looking to stay relevant, is always looking to kind of separate yourself from the competition. But Sprint, I don't think you found the morals or the values, the philosophies that you truly stand on. You seem like, and I get it now because you're a Gemini Sagittarius hybrid, don't exactly know your sun, your moon, or your rising, unfortunately, but just from these placements alone, it says a lot about you. And, with a Gemini Sagittarius hybrid, it can be an energy of not being the most focused. And when we put this in the context of your Pluto, your Uranus, your Neptune, and your Saturn, all right, let's get down into it. You're not the most focused in business with your Saturn in Sagittarius. You come up with a lot of different ideas, but you don't always follow through with those ideas, which can result in your wonky communication when it comes to customer service. It's like, oh, okay, we're willing to help you, but we're only willing to go this far because either this is all that we know, this is all that we're willing to do. Like, that's that Saturn and Sagittarius element. It's like you're not willing to go the full length, which definitely, like, probably gives your opponents, like, in that wireless company an edge over you. Get it together, Sprint. I'm not like feeling that Saturn and Sagittarius. Definitely you are creative. Like you're always coming up with new ideas and new ways to bring customers in and keep customers staying. And you always have this like, this brand like, element to you where you're happy, you're go lucky, you're optimistic, and that's all Jupiter Sagittarius energy, and I get it. But also be realistic, like, like Sprint, you have to be realistic. You can't be almighty highfalutin and not admit your faults. That's also that Saturn and Sagittarius energy, not admitting your faults, thinking you're perfect, thinking nothing you do is wrong. Your competition, they're the ones who are, no, don't point the fingers, just admit your faults. And I feel like you would get a far ways with your customers. Moving on. All right, your Uranus is in Sagittarius as well. Your Neptune is in Gemini. Okay, so there's a lot that you keep secretive behind the scenes. Also, the information is like very like varied. Like the information is not concise. Like I've noticed that when I like call customer service for Sprint, every time I have a call with a different customer service representative, like I get a different result. And usually it deals to a customer service representative having no idea what they're doing or seeming that way. A communication issue, which, is a different, topic as well. Like whether they can't understand you, you can't understand them. And that process takes up a whole bunch of time that sometimes people just don't have, or other things that result in communication, like tighten up. You need to tighten up in this area, Sprint. Your customer service representatives need to be more competent. You need to be more organized. Gemini energy is definitely prone to not being organized. One thing I will say is that you're very adaptable to your customers' needs. And I said that at the beginning of the video in different words. Gemini is very adaptable. They will adapt to your needs and your wants. But the thing is that they have to adapt to it, like, in the first place. Like, Geminis aren't the type of people necessarily to have it, like, perfectly, outright placed, we thought about this beforehand, like, no need to worry. Like, they're not those types of people. Like, they're the types of people who, we just wanted to build the structure. We just wanted to get things up and running. We didn't really think about the details. There's those types of people. And you have to be more detailed, Sprint. You have to think about the customer and the customer experience beforehand. I feel like once again you think about the customer experience, but you think about it only so far. It's like, oh, okay, the customer, right? Like the customer needs this and that, but you forget about all of those other things out there that we also need. So this Uranus and Gemini can definitely make a lot of sense. This can also relate to Noche Geminis being a little bit selfish as well, withholding information back. Gemini's ruled by Mercury. Mercury rules communication, intellect, the mind, right? And things like that. So, and it's interesting, Jupiter rules long-distance travel as well. I just want to point that out, too. And they have a lot of strong Sag energy, so. But, Uranus and Gemini, makes you someone who you have a broad audience. You have a broad demographic, Sprint. I believe that. I'm sure you have people all over the world who buy your services, but that can also make for an unorganized business, especially when you don't know how to effectively communicate yourself. Think about your customers. Think about how they communicate, especially in this digital YouTube, interactive Google world that we live in. You have to think about the people that are searching you, the people that are seeking you out, or either not seeking you out specifically or seeking something like you out, and they find you. Think about those people. Think about us. What about us? Cue the Brandy song. Lastly, your Pluto is in Gemini, as we already established at the beginning of the video. So sometimes when it comes to evolution, evolving and growing as a company, you can definitely be a little bit stubborn. Of course, you're ahead of the curve, but you're not the most... You're ahead of the curve, I'm sorry. But you're not the most organized. That can be an issue with Gemini and Sagittarius energy. I'm sorry. It just is. Now, having this energy in your chart, you are a natural for communications, for technology, and things like that. That is Sagittarius and Gemini energy all day, especially the combination of the two. But having your Pluto in Gemini can result in some stagnation. And it can be an issue with you going deeper, diving deeper. Sometimes, Sprint, you need to dive deeper. You need to give more depth. You can sometimes be very surface level as a company, and that can be a very frustrating experience as a consumer. A consumer in this world likes depth. They like range. They like the ability to go deep into a rabbit hole of a question. They want to know, okay, what is this bike made with? Is it made with, poisonous lead? Is it made with poisonous metals? Okay, what metals is it made with? What metal is this? What is this used? Like, this is the world that we live in, Sprint. You need to get with the program. Like, I just feel like sometimes, as a Sprint consumer and a Sprint customer, I get it now, and I guess I can't put too much slack. I'm going to still put slack on you, because that's the only way that you're going to improve. As with all this Gemini and Sagittarius energy, that's the only way you're going to improve is if I put slack on you and I force you to adapt to my needs as a consumer. Because I feel like that's the only way sometimes that I'm going to get the result that I need. By the way, shout out to McDonald's for their Frappuccinos. They are so freaking amazing. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it. So I wish I knew your sun and your moon and your rising, so I could, get a little bit more into depth into who you really are as a company. But just from like all this strong Sagittarius energy alone, I would say that the values that your company was built upon as, let me look again at what you were called before, Sprint Corporation. The values that your company was built upon as Brown Telephone Company are not the values that you have now. Now, that could go two different ways. That could be that the values that the company Sprint was originally started on as Brown Telephone Company were for more selfish needs, more selfish wants, more desires that didn't necessarily think about the consumer. And now that we live in this 2019 and beyond era, it's like, it's the era of the consumer. There's a need for Sprint to kind of catch up. Now, it could also be that maybe, just maybe, I'm going to give Sprint the benefit of a doubt, that the values that the company was built upon was of the consumer originally, and it's transformed into something a bit more selfish. Now, I personally feel like I see more of the latter. I feel like the company itself, and this could be my psychic insight, psychic intuitive, impression that I'm getting about the company. I haven't pulled any cards on it. Maybe I'll pull cards at the end of the reading for you, Sprint. I think I might do that. But I just want to have this dramatic pause. I feel like Sprint was built upon values that maybe did not consider the consumer as much as they should have considered the consumer back then. And now Sprint, based on those values, is having a little bit of a struggle adapting to this new world, this new consumeristic, capitalistic, I don't know what you want to call it, society that we live in. And, I'm not going to say that they're having trouble keeping up, because they have a strong kind of hold. Like, Sprint is a legend. It's an icon. Like, I'm not going to take that away from her. But Sprint needs to step it up. Sorry I said it. And I hope this astrological documentary, zodiac sign documentary, was able to give a little insight into that. That Sprint really needs to step it up as a company. Your consumers are frustrated. Your consumers are waiting for you to step it up. Like, we've been silent for too long. Seriously, like, really, really. It's very frustrating. Sometimes it can seem like you guys have shady business practices, and I get it now. It's maybe not necessarily that you're shady. Maybe you are. I don't know. It can be difficult with all that Sag Gemini energy. But I can see why you're unorganized. I can totally see it. Sag and Gemini are both polar opposite zodiac signs. I always say polar opposites have a lot in common, and Sagittarius and Gemini are both unorganized people, and they are both known to not finish things that they start. I'm dropping the mic on that one. Make sure you subscribe, like this video, comment if you would like a personal astrology, birth chart, natal chart reading from me, or a psychic tarot reading from me. Check out my website, LamarrTownsendTarot.com. I am available for readings, and I would love to read for you. Also, make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button so you get a notification whenever I go live or upload a brand new video. Make sure that you also follow me on my social media pages. My Instagram is at Lamarr Townsend. My Facebook is Lamarr Townsend Tarot. The links to my social media pages are in the description box below. Also, the link to my website is in the description box. It's also in the comment section. It's also in the title, hopefully, of this video. Check out my singles on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Music, Tidal, and more. The songs are called Unblock Me and Forbidden Fruit, now available. Also, check out my book on Amazon for download, titled Zodiac Signs, Sex Language, where I talk about the zodiac signs and how each of them expresses their sexual side. It's a good one to have in your repertoire. You never know when you might want to pull it out. You know what I mean? Alright? Spice up that sex life or improve it. Alright? Love you guys, and I'll catch you guys later. And trust me, the book works. I've used it myself. And if you see my videos, you know I'm having lots of sexy time. Love you guys. Bye. And Sprint, get it together. I believe in you as a loyal Sprint customer. This has been the astrological documentary of Sprint, the Gemini Sagittarius Unorganized Corporation. Subscribe.